Hey everybody, it's Master Galengeist here, bringing you my review for the anime Last Hope on Netflix. And this was a weird kind of anime, it wasn't badly done, but it just felt kind of like it retreaded kind of the same kind of stuff that you'd usually get from certain scenarios and not really done in any kind of different way. The main issues that kind of started popping up that I even really had with it is just oddly placed fan service. Now, I'm not against fan service, but when you're kind of getting information, like in the first episode, we got this character Kane, who is voiced by the same voice actor that does Jet from Cowboy Bebop, which that's a good one. I liked his character, even though he was very similar to Jet, even design-wise. Granted, not completely one-to-one. Was like, okay, he's explaining all this stuff, and the mayor of Neo Shenglong is right beside him, called Princess, and they're detailing all this kind of stuff, and then there's like this random zoom in shot of her breasts. And I'm just like, okay. Now you're just getting me that you could just have something really important going on, and then whoop, it's not like it's done for comedic effect or anything. It just would just come out of nowhere. The only one that actually really works is there's an episode where they're essentially heating the water to this creature called a Bri is heating the water to essentially blow up Neo Shenglong. And everybody just starts taking their clothes off, and they do a zoom in of like blue sweat on her. I'm like, okay, that actually makes sense. But there's like important stuff going on in certain things. It's like, what? Like one of the last episodes of the part one that I was able to finish, because they don't have the rest of the parts, she's giving this detailed explanation of what's going on, and then they zoom in on her ass. And I don't know if they're trying to imply that she's trying to show sexual interest in Leon Loud, the scientist guy, who's the main character, or what? I'm like, okay. It's just mainly a mismatch of tonal effect going on. Like, I'm thinking that there's supposed to be serious stuff going on and we're getting information, then out of nowhere, this thing pops up that kind of breaks into that. I'm like, what? It's not like it's completely comedic and going in like complete fan service, and like fan service is the complete objective of this. It's more of a mecha anime with fights like that, which it kind of almost stops doing towards the end. Not completely, mind you, but the fights aren't the focus. That's the thing. I don't really know what the focus is of this anime. Everything's kind of just an inch deep. We kind of get some stuff going on, and we kind of get lore implications as the story's going on, but everything of it's just kind of just there. So the story begins, and we're like seeing Leon Lau and his sister Chloe doing stuff with this kind of hyperdrive thing outside of the city of Neo Shenglong. And we find out that this is the future, and then there's creatures called Bri, which are just animals that have like hyper evolved because of a quantum reactor that decided to go, hey, fuck it, and just decide to go crazy. Of course, Leon was part of the team that was doing the reactor, and of course he was banished. But of course they bring him in because he was able to create the hyperdrive, transform his mecha kind of thing into this powered up thing because of his psyche and his power and everything. Not completely explained, but that, of course, this is the first part, but we just get that, of course, bears skimming throughout the whole rest of the thing. He's able to defeat the Bride creature and stop it from destroying the city. He's brought back in and starts giving these things to other kind of characters, like this sniper guy and this woman named Queenie. Well, the sniper guy's named Doug. This kind of mercenary girl named Queenie, who they each have their own kind of sordid but mainly cliched pasts. I.e., Doug is a sniper that was a child soldier. Queenie was part of this kind of kung fu monastery who one of the other people went nuts and pretty much murdered everybody except her, and she of course wants vengeance. And that's kind of about the depth of it. We get this dude who essentially, the villain that we've got was like got the nickname of Hot Pot, but he's essentially trying to destroy the city because him and his family felt wronged by the mayor Princess Cecile woman, and somehow has control of it because one of the other, I don't know where the story's going, but if I'd have to hazard a guess, the one dude who turned on the reactor, who was kind of the head person of the research facility, died during the reactor's malfunction. But we have a dude who's vastly similar to him, so I'm thinking it's from another universe that was pulled in or attempted to come to this universe or something to that effect. And he's giving the hot pot dude dark drives, which are essentially the darker versions of the hyper drives, to amp them up and make them more powerful. But I was just watching it, and sometimes I'm just like, I'm kind of bored. I mean, we get certain ones which delve into Doug's past, Queenie's past, other kind of stuff going on. The Kane guy, who's voiced by Jet, doing his stuff. It just was nuts. There seemed like potential when I began watching this. I'm like, oh, okay. Could be some cool fight scenes. They did a nice job of blending of the CGI and the 2D animation. But as it went on, it's like, oh, okay, they're not really doing much different with this. And now, granted, this is probably because it's just a part one, but it just feels like it's just a kind of bare bones adaptation. Like, we've got this big cast of characters and we're not really developing them a lot or to really any better extent, just a basic kind of extent to be like, okay, I can say that Leon likes to snack and is a scientist dude and is absent-minded. The princess chick is trying to hold everything together. Her attendant is making sure that he's trying to be useful. Chloe is trying to make sure that she can be as best of a sister as possible, while also Leon making sure that he's a good brother as well. Because, incidentally, she was the sister of the guy who was in charge of the reactors. Like, okay. It was just, I didn't latch on to any of the characters. Nothing really felt any kind of emotion for anything going on. The only thing I really liked out of it was that we had the voice actor, Jet from Cowboy Bebop. I'm like, yeah, okay. That's cool. And usually how I try and approach looking at kind of anime is to try and figure out what the feel is and what their objective is from the outset and then go from there. Like Violet Evergarden was supposed to be an emotional kind of anime, and I looked at it through that lens. Granted, there were some action sequences in there, but that never kind of was the focus. It was always of Violet's journey to getting her emotions and everything, and understanding everything in that series. And other kind of anime like Dragon Ball, that is for the fights. Gundam, the socio-political messages, but also big robots fighting each other. Yeah, that's mainly Gundam G because of the tournament and everything, but I look at it at that respect. This one, I couldn't tell what their main focus was. They didn't develop enough focus to the characterization for you to be like, oh, okay, these are deep gripping characters with powerful, awesome action scenes to kind of complement that. Or the whole purpose was like watching just giant mecha fight giant kaiju monsters and how well done that is, and just have the kind of characters there to kind of get us at least a little bit emotionally invested. But our main purpose is watching the action of the mechas and the creatures fight. It just felt like it had all this laid out, and it didn't pick one kind of focus to go for. And it even doesn't stick completely with the futuristic, instead kind of fusing mystical fantasy into it as well. And that the center of the quantum reactor, there is a being of chaos, which the princess woman, her whole family and group was in charge of containing, but they let the lead scientist dude mess with it. Now, granted, I don't mind that, but the thing was, it just kind of came out, and I'm like, I don't care because you're not developing enough one way or the other for me to care. It's just there, and I'm like, okay, we don't go deep enough into it to do it. Now, granted, the main way that this could be an issue is just because this is a part 1. But granted, watching all of the episodes of like 13, you just get the feeling it's like, I don't think this is getting really that much into it because nothing's just grabbing it for me. The action was okay. It wasn't horrible, but it's not like I would tune in if this were on weekly like I would with Dragon Ball, even though that took episodes for power-ups. It built up. It was hyping you up for that eventual fight. That doesn't happen. You don't get, it kind of bounces around for each character and only spends that kind of bit to be like, okay, you kind of got a little bit of a window, but who cares? So, I overall didn't hate this anime. It's a good time filler if you need a time filler one, but I overall was just I was just unimpressed with it because it had potential and it just wasted it. That is, I think, my biggest pet peeve and biggest criticism I can label against anything. I mean, if you've got something you go horribly, horribly wrong, I can at least sometimes find something in it that kind of redeeming, but if you've got a premise and you just aren't able to execute on the potential of that premise, that I'm just like, come on, you've got something that could be really kind of cool here, and you just didn't go and take it far enough. You didn't just give it all in your best and just go the way. So those are my opinions on the anime. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.